Coverage you can count on. WAAY 31 News at 4 starts now.
Pretty nice today, but rain is back in the forecast for all of North Alabama. We'll time it out on Storm Tracker Future Radar coming up.
A bank robbery suspect in custody. I'm WAAY 31's Xavier Ware, and I'll give you a look at that suspect's criminal history.
And Bill O'Brien returning to New England. I'm WAAY 31 Sports Director Nolan Knight. We take a closer look at the change for the Alabama Crimson Tide.
Thank you for joining us for WAAY 31 News at 4. I'm Marie Waxel.
And I'm Dan Schaefer. Clouds have rolled in across North Alabama, and we are anticipating some rough weather later tonight. WAAY 31 Chief Meteorologist Taylor Canoost is in the Storm Tracker Weather Center.
He's monitoring a windy, rainy night ahead of us. Taylor?
Yeah, definitely could be an impactful night for many of us across North Alabama. Very quiet and serene today. A sunny start, but clouds are rolling in ahead of what is going to be an active and kind of a bumpy night for a lot of us. Your WAAY 31 Skycam network showing those clouds streaming into the region. We are dry for the time being, keeping an eye on this light shower that's pushing into southern Marshall County, and we'll be in DeKalb County pretty soon. That will be brief, so some of you might get some brief showers late this afternoon, but majority of us are still dry at this moment as we take a look at the whole region on the WAAY 31 Storm Tracker Early Warning Radar Network. Now, best chance for rain is going to be well after sunset. We're talking an overnight event for most of us. The rain getting going kind of more consistently out near the shoals starting around 9 or 10 o'clock this evening, approaching the I-65 corridor around 11 o'clock through about midnight tonight. Heaviest of the rain likely falls from about 11 p.m. through 3 or 4 a.m. and it's going to be awfully heavy rainfall rates that will be moving on through. When it's said and done, a lot of us will end up with about an inch of rain in the rain gauge. Good news is that rain should be out of here by the time most of us are heading out the door on Wednesday morning, but the wind will still be sticking around when you head out tomorrow morning. Very powerful system, widespread impacts thanks to this low pressure that's in Louisiana right now. That's going to skirt close by to us as we head toward tonight and early in the day on Wednesday. Wherever you see purple on the map is where we could see gusts over 40 miles per hour. That could be the case for many of us at times tonight and during the day on Wednesday. Now, for those of us in the lower elevations, including Huntsville, the gusts probably are going to peak at around 45 miles per hour. But those of you in the higher terrain above 1,000 feet, those gusts could be upwards of 55 miles per hour. That's close to severe thunderstorm limits type of wind. And that's where we could see at least some isolated damage overnight tonight and into Wednesday morning. We will show you specifically what parts of North Alabama could see the strongest of those winds tonight through tomorrow morning, all coming up here in just a few minutes.
Thanks, Taylor. You can track the rain as it moves in and across our region by downloading the WAAY 31 Storm Tracker Weather app. It gives you access to our state-of-the-art early warning radar network, and it is free to download.
Breaking news happening right now. Multiple Huntsville fire and rescue crews are on scene of a structure fire on Grandview Boulevard. We do have a reporter on the way to the scene at this hour. Of course, we will pass along any new details as soon as we learn them during this newscast and, of course, on WAAYTV.com.
We're staying on top of this story. A man is in custody at the Madison County Jail after being charged with 4 counts of bank robbery. 55-year-old Lawrence Jones was arrested early this morning. He's suspected of robbing the Regions Bank in Madison earlier this month on January 18th. WAAY 31's Xavier Ware joins us live now outside the Madison County Jail. And Xavier, you learned Jones has quite the criminal history.
Dan, as if those 4 bank charges weren't startling enough, we've been digging through court records all day, and this is what we found. Jones, his most recent charge, it actually came last month in December. Jones was sentenced to community corrections after pleading guilty to an unlawful possession of a controlled substance with the intent to distribute. Jones being sentenced to community corrections, it meant that despite those charges, which was a Class B felony, he was not in jail and he was back out on the street during the January 18th robbery at the Regions Bank in Madison. And Regions actually released a statement in regards to that robbery. It says, quote, "Regions Bank maintains strong relationships with law enforcement, and we appreciate the diligence of investigators in working to bring these matters to justice. Our teams will continue to work hand in hand with investigators throughout this process." And earlier today, I tried to speak with Jones's mother. She didn't really have a lot to say, but what she did tell me was that she was unaware of Jones's actions and what was really going on with him. And investigators, they tell us earlier today that there will be a press conference in regards to this matter at some point during this week. And when we find out that information, we will stream that for you live on our website, live on the app, and on our website, WAAYTV.com. I'm reporting live in Huntsville. Xavier Ware, WAAY 31 News.
A Lauderdale County woman is accused of trying to kill one of her relatives. Tamara Allen is charged with attempted murder. Authorities say she fired a handgun at the victim multiple times while that person was standing in a doorway of a home. It happened on McConnell Road in the Big Oak subdivision in Center Star yesterday. Luckily, no one was hit. A Morgan County grand jury will now hear the case against this man, Marquise Waynes. He's charged with attempted murder, accused of setting his ex-girlfriend on fire. During a bond reduction hearing today, one of the officers who responded to the scene on Bethel Road out in Priceville earlier this month said a water bottle containing gasoline was recovered. The victim says Waynes leaped out of nearby bushes, threw her to the ground, and poured the gasoline on her before setting her on fire. Happening now, crews are working to determine what caused a house fire in southwest Huntsville. This is what the scene on 7th Avenue looked like around 10 o'clock this morning. Fire officials say no one was inside. The home is a total loss.
New information on classified documents reportedly found at the Indiana home of former Vice President Mike Pence. The Department of Justice is reviewing the matter. According to letters to the National Archives, a representative for the former VP says on January 16th, Pence asked his attorneys to review records that were stored in his home. They found a, quote, small number of documents that could potentially contain sensitive or classified information. The letter states Vice President Pence immediately secured the documents in a locked safe, adding that Pence was unaware of the records being in his possession. A second letter to the National Archives dated just 2 days ago explains Pence turned the documents over to the FBI on January 19th. Sources say the search was done proactively in the wake of classified documents being found at President Joe Biden's Wilmington, Delaware home and old office in D.C. Now, the DOJ is already using special counsels to investigate documents found in Biden and former President Trump's possession. Officials are trying to determine whether anyone should face criminal charges. The DOJ is not commenting.
The Alabama Crimson Tide will be searching for a new offensive and defensive coordinator this offseason. And to discuss the changes in Tuscaloosa, we want to bring in sports director Nolan Knight. Nolan?
Yeah, Maria, I think it was news that I think most Alabama fans were expecting. Former Alabama offensive coordinator Bill O'Brien is headed to New England to take over as the Patriots offensive coordinator in the NFL. O'Brien spent the past 2 seasons as the OC under college football's best and Nick Saban, and is now back in the NFL and back where he began his NFL career underneath the NFL's best and Bill Belichick. He takes over a New England offense that finished in the bottom tier of the league in touchdowns scored and red zone efficiency this past year. He joins former Alabama quarterback Mac Jones, who helped teach O'Brien the ropes of the Alabama offense following his national championship in 2020. With O'Brien headed to the NFL, Saban will be looking for his 6th different offensive coordinator in the past 8 seasons. Reporting in studio, Nolan Knight, WAAY 31 Sports.
All right, thank you, Nolan. Let's move our attention now to the hardwood.
Yeah, both Alabama and Auburn are getting ready for their next matchups. The second-ranked Crimson Tide host Mississippi State tomorrow night. Alabama is looking to extend its winning streak to 9 games and stay perfect in the SEC play. Tip-off is set for 8 o'clock. On the Plains, the Tigers will try to extend their winning streak of their own. Auburn looks to make it 6 in a row when they take on the Aggies of Texas A&M tomorrow night. The Tigers are in second place in SEC play with only 1 loss. Tip-off for this one is also at 8 o'clock at Neville Arena.
Multiple shooting investigations underway on the West Coast. Nearly 24 people killed in only a few short days.
And Walmart giving its hourly employees a raise. The retail giant increasing its minimum wage.
And a wind advisory will begin at 9 o'clock this evening for our entire area. I'll let you know how long the gusty winds will stick around and when colder air returns. Coming up next.
Coverage you can count on. You're watching WAAY 31 News with Dan Schaefer, Marie Waxel, Chief Meteorologist Taylor Knust, and the WAAY 31 Storm Tracker Early Warning Radar Network.
New information from California now, where there have been 3 mass shootings in the last 3 days. First, it was Monterey Park. Next, Half Moon Bay. A gunman killed 7 people at 2 separate farms in what police are calling an incident of workplace violence. And then in Oakland, a gunman killed 1 person and injured 7 others near a gas station. ABC's Rena Roy is in Half Moon Bay, California, tracking the latest on all 3 cases.
Multiple shooting investigations underway across the West Coast. In picturesque Half Moon Bay just outside of San Francisco, officials identifying a possible motive in the massacre that left 7 dead and 1 injured Monday evening.
Only known connection between the victims and the suspect is that they may have been co-workers.
Police say the gunman, 67-year-old Chun Li Zhao, opened fire at 2 farms 1 mile away from each other with a legally purchased semi-automatic weapon.
Cases like this, we've never had one in this county of this many deaths at one scene.
Hours later, the suspect found in the parking lot of a police substation and arrested. Now authorities investigating another shooting in Yakima, Washington, looking for this man, 21-year-old Jared Haddock, suspected of killing 3 people at a Circle K convenience store on Tuesday morning. The suspect still on the loose.
This is a dangerous person, and it's random, so there is a danger to the community. We don't have a motive. We don't know why.
This comes after 11 people were killed during a Lunar New Year celebration in Monterey Park, California over the weekend. All of the victims in their 50s, 60s, and 70s now identified, including Shou Juan Yu, 63-year-old Leland Lee, and 68-year-old Valentino Alvaro, a father and grandfather. His family saying, "We hope that he danced to his heart's content until the very end, and hope that he is now dancing in heaven."
And there is still no known motive in the Monterey Park shooting. Officials looking into a potential domestic violence scenario. Rena Roy, ABC News, Half Moon Bay, California.
Court documents show the man accused of killing 23 people at a Walmart in El Paso, Texas back in 2019 will plead guilty to federal charges. Patrick Crucius is charged with hate crimes involving murder and attempted murder for what's marked as one of the deadliest attacks on Latinos in modern U.S. history. The document shows the federal government will not pursue the death penalty in this case. He'll be back in court February 8th.
New at 4, Walmart's giving some of its hourly employees a raise. The company announced it's increasing the minimum wage from $12 to $14 an hour. Walmart says this would bring the average hourly wage up to more than $17.50 an hour. The new pay will start next month. Walmart also announced it's expanding its Associate to Driver program to help employees earn a commercial driver license to become a Walmart truck driver. On Wall Street, stocks ended mixed Tuesday. The Dow Jones Industrial Average climbed 104 points to close at 33,734. The Nasdaq Composite Index dipped 30 points, and the S&P 500 slipped 3 points.
Money could become the least of your worries. The next Powerball drawing is tomorrow night. Right now, the jackpot stands at more than $500 million, more than $500 million, nearly a little more than half. What am I trying to say? $500 million. Yeah, $500 million. $500 million. I'm just so excited if we could match some of those numbers. If your ticket's numbers matches, then you could walk away with the cash option of nearly $300 million. You can't win if you don't play, so you might want to consider that trip across the state line before 10 tomorrow night.
Weather coverage you can count on with Chief Meteorologist Taylor Knust and the WAAY 31 Storm Tracker Early Warning Radar Network.
Well, the wind has been rather calm throughout the day today. It is going to remain calm until probably about 10 p.m. After that, it's going to pick up in a big way. Take the time now to secure any loose items you may have outside because they may end up in your neighbor's yard if you don't. It's going to be that type of wind heading our way tonight. Here is just a snippet of what we can expect for wind gusts in specifically Huntsville overnight tonight. Again, by 10 o'clock, that's when things really start getting going. 30 to 40 mile per hour wind gusts through especially between 10 and 10 p.m. and 4 a.m. That's when we're expecting quite the gusty winds, and it will stay pretty windy as we head into Wednesday morning as well. Now, I do want to highlight specifically the areas that could see wind gusts exceed 45 miles per hour, maybe occasionally getting up to 50 possibly even up to 55 miles per hour. I think Sand Mountain is the area where it's most likely. So heads up if you live near or just to the east of Scottsboro and parts of Jackson County, back down toward Marshall County. We are anticipating quite windy conditions there. Up in Cumberland Plateau area, we could see those gusts exceed 45 miles per hour as well. Briefly could be possible on Montesano as well in Madison County. And then we probably won't see much of an issue of that by late tonight, but still certainly is going to be noticeably windy when you step outside tomorrow morning. Now, again, hazards, loose items outside are going to go flying. That's especially likely in the higher terrain. It is possible that some limbs and maybe even small trees get snapped by the strongest of these gusts. I don't anticipate widespread power outages, but it's not out of the question that we do have at least some power outages due to the type of wind we are expecting. And it's all thanks to this powerful system that's impacting a lot of the country today. Big time snow in Oklahoma, even parts of Texas seeing snow today. We had a big tornado confirmed in the Houston metro earlier this afternoon. That severe threat now pushing into Louisiana. And eventually it's going to affect parts of Mississippi and Alabama later this evening and overnight tonight. No severe threat for us here in North Alabama. Right now on the early warning radar network, we do have a band of light to moderate rain approaching Boaz, southern Marshall County, toward Lake Gunnersville at this moment. This rain is going to become widespread overnight tonight. But between now and probably 10 p.m., we're not going to see much rain around Huntsville. It will get going around that time out west near the Shoals, and then it drifts eastward throughout the night, impacting north central to northeast Alabama in the later overnight hours. So while it rains, it's going to come down at a pretty heavy clip. By 4 a.m., much of this is clearing out of here. I think by sunrise, just some spotty showers lingering. Most of tomorrow should be on the dry side, but still mostly cloudy. Rain totals anywhere from a ½ inch to 1 inch is expected. I do think a lot of us will end up getting about an inch of rain with what rolls through overnight tonight. Highs tomorrow technically in the 50s, but that's actually where we are going to start tomorrow. Temperatures will be falling throughout the day on Wednesday. By noon, we are in the mid 40s, plus it's going to be windy, so it will feel cooler than that. Forecast wind chills by tomorrow afternoon are down to the 30s for a lot of us. It's going to feel chilly out there later in the day tomorrow, and that cold air will settle in Wednesday night into Thursday as well. Thursday is our coldest day of this week with a high of 43. We dropped to 26 on Thursday night. Should get a brief rebound with some nice sunshine late this week and back to 56 on Saturday. A couple more rain chances coming our way Sunday and then again Tuesday next week.
Thanks, Taylor. Other parts of the world are dealing with deadly weather conditions. Taliban officials say at least 157 people died from freezing temperatures in Afghanistan this winter. About 70,000 head of livestock have also frozen to death in various parts of the country. Temperatures plummeted to as low as minus 18 degrees Fahrenheit earlier this month before warming this week. Chinese researchers believe the Earth's inner core may have reversed its rotation. They analyzed seismic waves created by earthquakes as they passed through the planet along similar paths since the 1960s. Well, they found the inner core's rotation stopped between 2009 and 2020 and may have even reversed direction. Researchers believe such a reversal generally takes place about every 70 years. Coming up, we'll take a look at how COVID-19 may have impacted your child's weight gain after the pandemic closed schools. At 4, COVID-19, of course, closed schools and disrupted children's lives, and rising obesity rates may be a result. With more, here's ABC's Justin Finch.
According to the CDC, nearly 1 in 5 children in the United States is affected by childhood obesity. And during the COVID pandemic, children gained weight at a faster rate compared to non-pandemic periods. Researchers specifically looked at June through November of 2020 and found that the rate of BMI increase, or body mass index, for children aged 6 to 11 more than doubled. While genetic factors causing obesity cannot be changed, your child's surrounding environment, diet, and exercise level may be affecting their weight. Since children can now spend most of their time at school, it's an ideal place for obesity prevention efforts. Schools should offer healthy food options, increase children's daily minutes of physical activity, and offer services from school nurses. You can learn more about school-based approaches on the CDC's website, and be sure to talk to your child's doctor if you have questions about your child's weight. With this Medical Minute, I'm Justin Finch, ABC News.
An expanding waistline might seem like a rite of passage for men and women reaching middle age.
But a new study finds that midriff bulge is linked to a physical decline later in life. Researchers found people who had a high or moderately high waist circumference at the start of the study were 50% more likely to be considered frail than those with a quote-unquote normal waistline. Frailty in this sense means poor grip strength, a slower walking speed, overall exhaustion, unintentional weight loss, and low physical activity.
We're digging deeper into questions over abortion pills after the FDA changed a policy which now allows them to be sent through the mail.
New information on the discovery of classified documents at former Vice President Mike Pence's home as the special counsel investigates into Donald Trump and Joe Biden continues.
And I'm tracking heavy rain and strong wind gusts that will affect all of North Alabama tonight through early on Wednesday morning. The latest look at future radar coming up next.
coverage you can count on. WAAY 31 News at 4:30 starts now.
And you're taking a live look over the Rocket City from our WAAY 31 Thompson Roofing and Construction Sky Camera Network. Cloudy and quiet right now, but we're tracking rain and strong winds on the way.
Plus, continued aftermath of the Supreme Court's decision to overturn Roe v. Wade. We take a look at where things stand here in Alabama now that women can get abortion pills through the mail.
And another set of classified documents found, this time showing up at the private home of a former vice president. Thanks for sticking with us for WAAY 31 News at 4:30. I'm Dan Schaefer.
And I'm Marie Waxel. Let's get straight to WAAY 31 Chief Meteorologist Taylor Knust.
He is over in the Storm Tracker Weather Center monitoring these current conditions. A wet and windy evening in store.
Yeah, that's right. We've had a lot of overnight rains recently. That will be the case again tonight, so we won't have to have the umbrella handy unless you're going to be out late tonight. Right now, dry across North Alabama, at least the wide majority of the region, but that will change in a big way about 6 to 10 hours from now. Currently 52 degrees under a cloudy sky. We, of course, had some sunshine earlier today, but clouds are streaming in ahead of our next weather maker that will affect all of us overnight. We have a little bit of light rain passing through Marshall County. That's going to approach Gunnersville pretty soon. Might be some very light rain out toward the shoals. I think the radar is scanning some moisture that's higher in the sky that may not be reaching the surface. But a lot of rain in Mississippi right now. Eventually is going to head our way as we move into late this evening and early Wednesday morning. Let's show you that here on Storm Tracker Future Radar with the latest data. Again, mainly dry the next several hours. We start to see that rain going in our western counties. Muscle Shoals down to Haleyville, Moulton. You'll start to see the rain around 9, 10, maybe as late as 11 o'clock. 11 to midnight is probably when things get going around Huntsville. And once it starts raining, it's going to rain pretty heavily. We are not necessarily anticipating many, if any, thunderstorms, maybe a few rumbles of thunder, but the torrential rain will be possible, especially between maybe 10 p.m. and 3 a.m. That's when the rain will be at its heaviest, still lingering around Lookout Mountain and Sand Mountain late tonight. By this time we get to the morning commute on Wednesday, the rain should be out of here. So here's what we're expecting for wind gusts. While the rain is falling, it's going to be a wind-driven rain. Gusts at least getting to 35 miles per hour. For many of us, they may be in the 40 to 50 mile per hour range, and that's why we have a wind advisory that begins at 9 o'clock this evening, lasting through tomorrow afternoon. Guys?
Thanks, Taylor. Make sure you're prepared for the wind and rain tonight by downloading the WAAY 31 Storm Tracker Weather app. You'll get access to live weather updates for your neighborhood. It's free to download.
Breaking news just into our newsroom this afternoon. A Higdon woman died in a head-on crash in Jackson County. State troopers say Angela Nayadli's pickup hit a Jeep on Highway 71 just north of Higdon. The cause of that crash is unknown at this time. We're learning about an attempted murder case in Morgan County now. Marquise Wayne's case will now go before a grand jury. He's accused of setting his ex-girlfriend on fire. It happened on Bethel Road in Priceville earlier this month. During a bond reduction hearing today, one of the officers at the scene said a water bottle containing gasoline was recovered. The victim says Wayne's leaped out of a nearby bushes, threw her to the ground, and poured the gasoline on her before setting her on fire.
New details, more classified documents have been recovered, this time at former Vice President Mike Pence's home. An attorney for Pence reported the documents to the National Archives. ABC's Morgan Norwood has more details on this latest discovery.
Classified documents were reportedly found at the Indiana home of former Vice President Mike Pence, and the Department of Justice now reviewing the matter. According to letters obtained by ABC News to the National Archives, a representative for the former VP says that on January 16th, Pence asked lawyers to review records that were stored in his home. That's when lawyers found a small number of documents that could potentially contain sensitive or classified information. The letter states Vice President Pence immediately secured the documents in a locked safe, adding that Pence was unaware of the records being in his possession. A second letter to the National Archives dated just 2 days ago explains that Pence turned the documents over to the FBI on January 19th. Sources say the search was done proactively in the wake of classified documents being found at President Joe Biden's Wilmington home and old office. Just 2 weeks ago, Pence was on Fox News, slamming the Department of Justice, saying they should treat Biden's investigation the same as Trump's. And in November, months before all of this came to light, he told our David Muir plainly he did not take any classified documents from the White House.
Let me ask you, as we sit here in your home office in Indiana, did you take any classified documents with you from the White House?
I did not.
The DOJ is already using special counsels to investigate documents found in Biden and former President Trump's possession. Officials are trying to determine whether Trump or anyone else should face criminal charges. And the DOJ is not commenting, but the Republican House Committee on Oversight and Accountability chair releasing a statement saying Pence reached out to him, saying he agreed to fully cooperate with any congressional oversight and questions on the matter. I'm Morgan Norwood, ABC News, New York.
And White House officials saying about the discovery of documents at Pence's home exactly what they're now saying about documents discovered at President Biden's home. Nothing, saying they don't want to interfere in the DOJ's investigation.
New at 4:30, Amazon is expanding its push into healthcare with a $5 per month unlimited generic prescription drug delivery service. The plan is called RX Pass, and it includes 60 generic prescription drugs that treat various common conditions like allergies, inflammation, and high blood pressure. Amazon says the delivery service will launch immediately in most states, including Alabama. It's not available for customers enrolled in Medicare, Medicaid, or any other government health care program. The FDA is weighing in on allowable amounts of lead in baby food. New draft guidance by the FDA suggests a limit of 20 parts per billion or less of lead in single ingredient root vegetables and dry cereals. But the agency says a lower limit of 10 parts per billion on baby food custards, fruits, meats, and food blends. Lead is among the World Health Organization's top 10 chemicals of concern for infants and children. Still, critics say the new guidance isn't enough. About half of the women who are 40 and older have dense breasts. That's according to CDC. But a new study shows many women may not know that having dense breasts raises the risk for breast cancer. Mandy Gaither has more on the latest research and what a doctor says you should take away from it.
It's usually noted on a mammogram report or during an exam. Having dense breast tissue is normal and common.
For women that have more tissue, less fat, they're considered to have dense breasts.
And it's also associated with up to a 4 times higher risk of breast cancer. However, a new study suggests many women may not know that. In a survey of nearly 1,900 women ages 40 to 76 who'd recently had a mammogram, had no history of breast cancer, and had heard of breast density, 93% said it was a lesser risk when compared to other well-known breast cancer risks.
The screening tools that we have may be less accurate in someone with a dense breast.
Dense tissue can hide cancers. On a mammogram, fibrous and glandular tissue seen on the right looks white. So does a possible tumor, so a small tumor may be missed. Still, mammograms are a critical tool that save lives. Atlanta OBGYN Dr. Sujatha Reddy says women with dense breasts may consider getting a 3-dimensional mammogram.
They are becoming more common and they're being covered by insurance at a much better rate.
While you can't control whether you have dense breast tissue, Reddy says you can do other things to lower breast cancer risk.
You want to limit alcohol consumption, be physically active, and try to maintain a healthy weight and eat a healthy diet. Those are factors you can control.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
And remember, you can always talk to your doctor about your personal risk of getting breast cancer.
We are digging deeper into where things stand here in Alabama now that women can get abortion pills through the mail. The FDA changed the rule recently to try to make it easier for women to get abortions in places where the procedure is banned or restricted. There's also concern, though, about women facing charges for taking the pill. WAAY 31's Alex Torres-Perez has been asking questions to try to clarify some of the confusion. Alex?
So the Human Life Protection Act prohibits any abortions here in Alabama. It also says that women who are getting abortions cannot be criminally charged. Now, I asked the Alabama Attorney General's office about this, and they told me it never said that it intended to prosecute women who take abortion pills. However, 2 weeks ago, AL.com did report that the Attorney General told them women could face charges through the chemical endangerment law. Now, some state lawmakers, like Representative Chris England, disagree, saying that law can't apply because abortion pills are considered to be lawfully prescribed medication. Earlier this month, the FDA did make a policy change allowing those pills to be sent by mail or be picked up at a pharmacy with a doctor's prescription instead of having to go pick them up at a doctor's office. Now, in a letter to the FDA commissioner, Alabama Attorney General Steve Marshall wrote that the FDA's change in policy does not apply to Alabama, and that's because the state law does prohibit the remote prescription, administration, and use of abortion pills. I did ask the Alabama Attorney General if out-of-state doctors who do prescribe these abortion pills could face charges because of the state abortion ban. However, the Attorney General's office told me that they don't generally give opinions on what is or isn't a crime. Reporting live in Huntsville, Alex Torres-Perez, WAAY 31 News.
Thanks, Alex. And stay with us for WAAY 31 News at 6. We talked to the Alabama Women's Center about the ongoing fight for abortion rights more than half a year after Roe v. Wade was overturned.
We're on top of multiple breaking news stories happening right now for you. Huntsville firefighters are at the scene of a structure fire on River Landing Boulevard. We know no injuries have been reported. We do have a reporter en route to this scene to gather the latest details. We'll, of course, pass them along to you as soon as we get them. Stick with us. We'll be right back.
Coverage you can count on. You're watching WAAY 31 News with Dan Schaefer, Marie Waxel, Chief Meteorologist Taylor Knust, and the WAAY 31 Storm Tracker Early Warning Radar Network.
New information on NATO's back-and-forth debate over sending tanks to Ukraine. Ukraine says it needs newer, more versatile tanks ahead of a Russian spring offensive. Germany did not reach an agreement Friday with other Western allies over sending those tanks. But Germany's new defense minister and NATO's Secretary General both say they're confident a solution will be reached soon.
At this pivotal moment in the war, we must provide heavier and more advanced systems to Ukraine, and we must do it faster. I therefore welcome our discussion today.
Under German law, weapons made in Germany, which are intended to be used in war, have to be given federal approval before they can be exported. Meanwhile, some shakeups in Ukraine's chain of command. Logistics issues have forced the resignation of the country's deputy defense minister. Vyacheslav Shapovalov was responsible for getting food to the military. Media reports had pointed to possible abuses by his office, accusations the defense minister strongly denied. And the deputy president's chief of staff also stepped down Tuesday. In a letter, Kirilo Tymoshenko said he resigned at his own request. In that statement, Tymoshenko thanked President Zelensky, heads of regional military administrations, and mayors, as well as his wife and son. Zelensky accepted the resignation.
New details on the Ticketmaster hearing today, which comes after millions of Taylor Swift fans were left furious last year following concert ticket sales. ABC's M. Nguyen has the latest on a Senate committee investigation into whether the ticketing industry is a monopoly.
Ticketmaster and parent company Live Nation in the hot seat at a Senate Judiciary Committee hearing after their Taylor Swift concert tour ticket meltdown left millions of her fans furious.
The way your company handled the ticket sales for Ms. Swift was a debacle. And whoever in your company was in charge of that ought to be fired.
The lockouts, delays, and soaring aftermarket prices raising concerns on both sides of the aisle over Ticketmaster's alleged monopoly on the market.
You can't have too much consolidation, something that unfortunately for this country, as a ode to Taylor Swift, I will say we know all too well.
Senators questioning Live Nation and Ticketmaster's 2010 merger that has given them outsized influence over much of the live event industry, accusing it of crushing competition from smaller companies, which some critics claim harms consumers.
A lack of robust competition in our industry meaningfully stunts innovation. Venues fear losing Live Nation concerts if they don't use Ticketmaster.
Joe Burchell, the president of Live Nation, blaming the Swift sale debacle on an attack from bots sent by ticket scalpers.
This is what led to a terrible consumer experience, which we deeply regret.
Connecticut Senator Richard Blumenthal pushing to have the Live Nation Ticketmaster merger undone.
Ticketmaster ought to look in the mirror and say, I'm the problem. It's me.
The Justice Department is investigating Live Nation for possible antitrust violations, looking into whether the company abused its power over the live music industry. Live Nation has said it takes antitrust laws seriously and did not act improperly to achieve its market power. M. Nguyen, ABC News, Washington.
New at 4:30, wildlife officers in Florida broke up a felony snake trafficking ring. 8 people are under arrest, charged with illegally selling venomous and prohibited reptiles. Officers say the black market for these venomous snakes is a multi-billion-dollar business. They were able to buy and sell nearly 200 dangerous snakes. The fear is if the venomous non-native species got loose, they could easily live and breed in Florida's climate.
The doomsday clock is 10 seconds closer to world annihilation. The Bulletin of Atomic Scientists pushed the clock forward to 90 seconds to midnight. The doomsday clock was made 75 years ago and measures how close humanity is to destroying Earth. Scientists say the clock pushed forward because of the war in Ukraine, threat of nuclear escalation, and climate change.
Weather coverage you can count on with Chief Meteorologist Taylor Knust and the WAAY 31 Storm Tracker Early Warning Radar Network.
High impacts across much of the country today. We're talking a lot of snow from West Texas all the way up to the Great Lakes in the northeast U.S. today, tonight, and through Wednesday. We have a lot of wind that's expected to impact a lot of folks, including us here in North Alabama and along the Gulf Coast. We're dealing with another severe weather threat. Level 3 risk in place today from Houston through New Orleans and over to Mobile, Alabama. That threat will affect South Alabama later on tonight. We will not see severe weather locally, but we are going to see some high winds later tonight through the first half of the day on Wednesday. We have a wind advisory in effect that will start at 9 p.m. this evening, lasting through 3 p.m. on Wednesday afternoon. Let's get right to our models and show you what we're expecting for the wind gusts. Starting around 10 o'clock or so is when the wind should really pick up in intensity. Initially, it's going to be Sand Mountain and some of the other high terrain of north central to northeast Alabama that will see the strongest of the wind gusts. Where you see the purple is where we're anticipating over 40-mile-per-hour wind gusts. That white area there near Scottsboro in Jackson County, we could see 50-mile-per-hour wind gusts around midnight tonight into the early morning hours of Wednesday. Once we get to late tonight and early on Wednesday morning, we will see stronger gusts move into maybe areas farther to the west, including potentially Huntsville, where those gusts could get up to 40 to 45 miles per hour through early Wednesday morning. Once we get to lunchtime and tomorrow afternoon, still windy, just not as bad as what we're expecting overnight and early in the day on Wednesday. So that's one aspect of what we're expecting tonight. The other is the rain. We are not going to see severe weather locally. Tornado threat is going to stay well to our south, but we have a lot of rain that's going to be heading our way overnight tonight. It's probably not going to last too long, probably a 6-hour window where we'll have pretty heavy rain across the region. For the time being, just isolated showers out there, including near Gunnersville, back toward DeKalb County. Some light rain moving through at this hour. The widespread heavy rain is going to move through later on tonight, starting near the shoals around 9 or 10 o'clock, approaching north central Alabama around midnight tonight, and it will be around that time through the late night hours that the heaviest of the rain is going to fall. There could be some storms embedded within that rain, but we're not expecting many thunderstorms, just heavy rainfall events that will clear out by sunrise on Wednesday morning. Most of tomorrow should be dry. Rain totals upwards of an inch expected. Maybe a few of you have as little as a half inch, but it will be a heavier rain than we've had in the last couple of rain events. Temperatures tomorrow start off in the 50s, fall to the low and mid 40s by the afternoon. Highs on Thursday will only be in the upper 30s to low 40s, including 43 in Huntsville. With that colder air coming our way, we will have redeveloping showers and potential for a wintry mix Wednesday night into Thursday morning. That will certainly be more likely in Tennessee, but again, some of our higher elevation locations could see at least a little snow during that time. Jackson County up to Franklin County, Tennessee is where we could see a dusting of snow. It's likely we'll see little to no accumulation, but it's not out of the question we get a dusting in those locations I showed you. Drying out to close out this week, but we do have more rain in the forecast as we head towards Sunday.
Still ahead, the countdown to the Oscars is underway.
The biggest names who are vying for this year's awards. Well, the countdown to Hollywood's biggest night is officially underway with the announcement of the Oscar nominations right here on ABC.
Morgan Norwood is in New York with a look at the contenders.
The nominations are in, and the countdown to the 95th Annual Academy Awards is on. Riz Ahmed and Allison Williams unveiling the contenders vying for a prestigious gold trophy. This year, big screen spectacles dominating the nominations, a year after streaming services captivated movie lovers. All Quiet on the Western Front making plenty of noise with 9 nods, including for Best Motion Picture, up against several hit films including Disney's Avatar, The Way of Water, Top Gun Maverick, and Everything Everywhere All at Once, which, by the way, leading the pack with 11 nominations. Up for gold in the Best Actor category, Oscar newcomers Austin Butler, Colin Farrell, Brendan Fraser, Paul Mescal, and Bill Nye, each picking up their first Oscar nominations. The nominations teeming with more first and historic feats. Michelle Yeoh making history as the first Asian Best Actress nominee for Everything Everywhere All at Once. And Angela Bassett scooping up a major nomination for the Marvel Cinematic Universe with her Best Supporting Actress nod, becoming the franchise's first actor to be recognized for a performance.
Really excited for Angela. I mean, it's not a shocker, and it feels really good to see her getting her flowers in this.
And like every year, there's always snubs.
James Cameron.
James Cameron
left out of the race there for Avatar, The Way of Water, of course. It would have been a very fun race to kind of see Cameron and Spielberg squaring off against one another, two titans.
The 2023 Oscars will take place on Sunday, March the 12th at the Dolby Theater. Jimmy Kimmel is back as the host this year, and of course you can watch live right here on ABC. I'm Morgan Norwood, ABC News, New York.
Coming up next on WAAY 31 News at 5, a chance to get rich requires a trip across the state line. We sent our team to Tennessee to hear how some lottery players feel about the lack of the game in our state.
It's all ahead of tomorrow's Powerball drawing with more than $500 million on the line.
Coverage you can count on. WAAY 31 News at 5 starts now.
Get ready for a wet and windy night. I'm WAAY 31 Chief Meteorologist Taylor Knust, and we'll time out all of the active weather that's heading our way later on tonight.
A bank robbery suspect now in custody. What we know about the suspect's criminal history.
Plus, the Powerball growing after no winners last night. New at 5, some players react to the lack of a lottery here in Alabama.
Thanks for joining us for WAAY 31 News at 5. I'm Dan Schaefer.
And I'm Marie Waxel. The clouds are rolling in across North Alabama.
Chief Meteorologist Taylor Knust joins us now. Some big changes in store for us tonight, Taylor.
Yeah, it was pretty pleasant today, Dan and Marie, but not so much expected overnight tonight as our next storm system is knocking on our door. We are dry across the region for the time being. Some dark clouds out there. There might be a couple raindrops here and there right now, but the widespread heavy rain, that's going to hold off until later on tonight. Here's our WAAY 31 Storm Tracker early warning radar network. At this hour, might be a couple of showers out there in Marion County and a few more certainly crossing the border into Mississippi. But for the most part, we're going to stay rain-free until well after sunset. We'll put Storm Tracker future radar into motion. The shoals, you can expect some showers, heavy at times, to move through starting around 8 or 9 o'clock this evening, and then it gradually shifts east as we head toward the overnight hours. By midnight, the rain is pretty widespread, including around Huntsville, and that will continue through the late night hours. Once we get to 3 o'clock, the rain begins to wrap up for the western half of our area. Rain's starting to slow down in Huntsville at that time as well. You get to drive time on Wednesday morning. Should be rain-free across North Alabama, but it will still be very windy. Big system that's going to churn up the wind for not just us, but a good chunk of the southeast U.S. is in store for a very windy night. Wherever you see purple on the map is where we could see wind gusts exceed 40 miles per hour. That is a possibility for a lot of us, even in the lower elevations, but up in the higher terrain, gusts up to 55 miles per hour are possible. I'll let you know how long that type of wind sticks around coming up in a few minutes.
All right, thanks, Taylor. A bank robbery suspect is now in custody after his arrest this morning. 55-year-old Lawrence Jones is charged with 4 counts of bank robbery. He is a suspect in the robbery of a Regions Bank in Madison last week on January 18th.
WAAY 31's Xavier WAAY joins us from the Madison County Jail tonight, where Jones currently is being held without bond. Xavier, what else have you learned about his criminal history?
Marie and Dan, in addition to those 4 bank robbery charges, we also learned that Jones recently faced charges back in December of last month. In fact, it was actually on December the 16th, which he pleaded guilty to unlawful possession of a controlled substance with the intent to distribute. Jones was sentenced to community corrections, and despite being charged with a Class B felony, community corrections means he was not in jail and back out on the street during that January 18th robbery at the Regions Bank in Madison. In Regions, they have released a statement in regards to that robbery. It says, quote, Regions Bank maintains strong relationships with law enforcement, and we appreciate the diligence of investigators in working to bring these matters to justice. Our teams will continue to work hand in hand with investigators throughout this process. And investigators, they tell us that they will hold a press conference at some point during this week, and when we find out that date and that time, we will let you all know, and we will stream it both live on our website, WAAYTV.com, and on the WAAY 31 News app. I'm reporting live in Huntsville for you all tonight. Xavier WAAY, WAAY 31 News.
Thank you, Xavier. A man investigators say doused his ex-girlfriend with gasoline and set her on fire won't be getting out of jail anytime soon. He's jailed on $200,000 bond. We have video of Marquise Waynes walking into court this morning where a Morgan County judge refused to lower his bond. The judge also bound Waynes' case over to a grand jury. Waynes is charged with attempted murder. His lawyers claim his bond, though, is too high for Waynes to bond out of jail. A Lauderdale County woman is in jail after police say she shot at a family member and ran from police. Tamara Allen is charged with attempted murder. Investigators say she fired that gun multiple times. No one was hit, thankfully. Allen is being held on a $90,000 bond.
California rocked by 3 mass shootings in under 48 hours. The first on Saturday night in Monterey Park, then 2 more Monday, one in Oakland, another in Half Moon Bay. Isabella Rosales reports on the mounting calls for action on gun violence.
And this is unbelievable. This is terrible.
Less than 2 days after a gunman opened fire on a dance studio in Monterey Park, killing at least 11 people, another California community rocked by gun violence.
We have never experienced anything like this.
A gunman killing at least 7 people at a mushroom farm and near a trucking facility in Half Moon Bay Monday. The sheriff says children were present at the scene.
Our hearts are torn out of our chests for all these individuals and families.
The arrest of 66-year-old Chun-Li Zhao playing out before TV cameras. Authorities say Zhao had legal possession of a semi-automatic weapon in a state with some of the strongest gun laws in the country.
All of the evidence we have points to this being the instance of workplace violence. The Mounted Mushroom Farm, the first location, is where the subject was employed.
The U.S. has now had more mass shootings in 2023 than at this point in any year on record, according to the Gun Violence Archive. President Joe Biden reacting to the latest mass shooting, calling on Congress to act quickly and ban assault weapons. As authorities work to determine the motives behind these mass shootings, communities are honoring lives stolen and trying to make sense of senseless acts. Isabel Rosales, WAAY 31 News.
5:05 now. Powerball players have just under 30 hours until the next jackpot numbers are drawn.
And with a little more than $500 million on the line, we sent Georgia Clark across the state line to hear from players about Alabama's lack of a lottery.
Yes, Dana Marie, I'm here at the Tennessee state line at one of the lottery game halls that serves hundreds of Alabama residents a day. And just about every car that I've seen pull in this afternoon has had an Alabama license plate. But with the legislative session starting soon, the hope for an Alabama lottery is being pushed again. Talk of a lottery in Alabama has been happening for more than 20 years, and some residents are frustrated they have to go to other states to gamble. How long do you have to drive?
I have to drive 30 minutes.
And Janie says that not only cost her gas, but cost the state money as well.
I don't like it at all.
Yeah.
And I think, Kay Ivory, if you approve medical marijuana, why can't you approve a lottery? Because we're giving all our money to Tennessee when all that revenue can go to Alabama.
That revenue could be used across the state as it does in Tennessee with education scholarships. The Tennessee Educational Lottery estimated $17 million worth of proceeds in 2022, and some would like to see that kind of money in Alabama's future.
Absolutely, positively, 100% yes. We need this for our roads, we need this for our schools. I don't mind the drive, but I would prefer, because I'm born and raised in Alabama, I would prefer to put the money back in my state.
Alabama's Speaker of the House of Representatives, Nathaniel Ledbetter, says starting a lottery is not as easy as people believe.
Well, there's certainly a lot of moving parts when it comes to the lottery. You know, some of the reason you can't get a simple lottery out is because of the comprehensive issues across the state.
Now, these comprehensive issues that Representative Ledbetter is referring to as constitutional amendments, local bills, and executive orders like the ones that Governor Ivey recently issued on education funding. But we will see in the next few weeks whether Alabama will join its fellow states in having a state lottery.
All right, thank you, Georgia. Prices at the pump are once again on the rise. If you filled up, you have definitely noticed. The national average for a gallon of gas is $3.42, 12 cents higher since last week. AAA says this increase is due to gasoline demand and slightly more expensive oil. Today's national average is also 33 cents higher than a month ago. We do have a traffic alert out of Decatur you need to know about. Vine Street Northeast between Bank Street and Canal Street is still closed. Crews from Decatur Utilities are installing water services there. The road will remain closed until tomorrow evening. In the meantime, traffic is being detoured to Cherry Street.
The Alabama Law Enforcement Agency is urging drivers to take responsibility for their own safety, of course, and passengers to be aware of how to avoid dangerous situations. ALEA officials say passengers should always remember they have a choice and ability to discourage dangerous driving, like texting and speeding. State troopers will be pushing this initiative all week for the National Passenger Safety Week.
Classified documents have been found, this time at former Vice President Mike Pence's home. This in the wake of more documents discovered at President Biden's.
And Amazon expanding its push into healthcare with its new prescription plan. How you could qualify for this program.
And tonight on WAAY 31 News at 6, Colbert County EMA will soon get a new home. What we know about their relocation.
Coverage you can count on. You're watching WAAY 31 News with Dan Schaefer, Marie Waxel, Chief Meteorologist Taylor Knust, and the WAAY 31 Storm Tracker Early Warning Radar Network.
.513 breaking news just in. A murder arrest in Huntsville. Police say 24-year-old Anthony Bradley was taken into custody by U.S. Marshals shortly after 3 o'clock this afternoon. He is accused of shooting and killing Joshua Turney more than a week ago on Newsom Road. Investigators believe that shooting was drug-related.
New information tonight. More classified documents have been found.
This time at former Vice President Mike Pence's home in Indiana. The discovery was made by one of Pence's lawyers at Pence's request. The documents were turned over to the FBI. It's not known exactly what they are related to or what level of classification they are in. But Pence has repeatedly said he was not in possession of any classified documents.
Let me ask you, as we sit here in your home office in Indiana, did you take any classified documents with you from the White House?
I did not.
The House Oversight Committee praised Pence's handling of the documents, saying Pence reached out and agreed to fully cooperate with any congressional oversight and questions on the matter.
4 members of the far-right Oath Keepers militia group are now convicted of seditious conspiracy. It's the second major trial resulting in conviction of extremists accused of plotting to forcibly keep Donald Trump in power. The man who took pictures with his feet on Nancy Pelosi's desk during the January 6th Capitol riot was also convicted on all counts.
These men were swept up by the Stop the Steal nonsense that was pushed by the president.
The seditious conspiracy charge carries a sentence of up to 20 years in prison. The judge has yet to set a date for sentencing. Amazon is expanding its push into healthcare. It's launching a $5 a month unlimited generic prescription drug delivery service. The plan is RX Pass. It includes 60 generic prescription drugs that treat various common conditions like allergies, inflammation, and high blood pressure. The delivery service will launch immediately in most states. You don't have to have insurance to get RX Pass, but you do have to have Amazon Prime, which is $139 a year. Huntsville wants to make sure you're informed about the state of healthcare in your community. Local health professionals will gather to discuss services available, the challenges they face, and the impact the healthcare system has on the economy. You can sit in on the event February 2nd. It'll be at the Huntsville Botanical Garden.
Houston emergency crews are responding to reports of damage and stranded drivers after a tornado moved through the area. We have a look at some of that damage this afternoon. Officials say more than 116,000 people were without power this afternoon. As of right now, the full extent of this damage is unclear, and so far we have not heard of any fatalities caused by the tornado.
Weather coverage you can count on with Chief Meteorologist Taylor Knust and the WAAY 31 Storm Tracker Early Warning Radar Network.
That tornado and the severe weather threat in general is all associated with the same system that's going to bring us rain and wind here in North Alabama tonight and snow on the north side of the system. In fact, you go to Dallas, Texas, they're under a winter weather advisory at this moment. Winter storm warnings for the areas highlighted in pink from Oklahoma all the way up to the Great Lakes. So this is a very powerful, potent system that's going to bring a wide variety of impactful weather to the region, including us, later on tonight. We are going to be under a wind advisory from 9 p.m. this evening through 3 p.m. on Wednesday afternoon. That includes all of North Alabama and virtually all of Alabama. Widespread strong winds are expected for the next 24 hours or so. At this moment, it's rather calm. We have probably a couple more hours before the wind starts to pick up. You'll definitely notice it by 10 p.m. when the wind gusts in Huntsville should be upwards of 30 miles per hour. I think occasionally it could get up to 40, maybe even up to 45 miles per hour from tonight through early in the day on Wednesday. The area that's most likely to see wind gusts over 45 miles per hour tonight is likely going to be Sand Mountain in Jackson County down to Marshall County. We are anticipating some very gusty winds. Where you see the highlighted purple to white areas is where that wind could maybe even get above 50 miles per hour briefly. That might be the case up in the Cumberland Plateau overnight tonight and early in the day on Wednesday as well. So impactful wind gusts for sure expected, especially in our high terrain locations. And the impacts from that are, if you have any loose items outside, they may go flying in that strongest wind. Those strong wind gusts that could get over 50 miles per hour might be enough to snap some tree limbs, maybe even some small trees. Can't rule out the threat for some power outages, especially in those high terrain locations tonight through early in the day on Wednesday. Let's get a look at the WAAY 31 Storm Tracker Early Warning Radar Network. Not much going on at this hour. Plenty of rain to our west in Mississippi. That is going to head our way later on this evening. Between now and 8 o'clock, most of us will stay dry, but the rain starts heading toward the shoals around 9, 10 o'clock this evening, gradually drifting eastward. By midnight, the rain becomes widespread. There could be a couple of thunderstorms mixed in there, but most of this is just going to be pretty heavy rain that moves through much of the night tonight. We'll pause it at 2 o'clock. The rain should be wrapped up in the shoals at that time. Shortly after, around 4 o'clock, the rain clears out of Huntsville down to Coleman, just lingering out near Sand Mountain late tonight. But by the time we head to drive time on Wednesday, we should be dry in the wide majority of North Alabama. We're talking pretty heavy rainfall with totals maybe around an inch for a lot of us. A couple spots might even get slightly above 1 inch of rain with just what moves through tonight. Now, temperatures stay in the 40s and even the low 50s in some cases tonight. We're going to start tomorrow in the 50s, but watch as we see those temperatures tumble throughout the day tomorrow. By noon, we are back to the mid-40s. Wind chills tomorrow afternoon will fall to the 30s, and that cooler air is going to settle in tomorrow through tomorrow night into Thursday. Highs Thursday back down to the low 40s. Lingering showers possible Wednesday night into Thursday could come in the form of a wintry mix. More likely to be snow the farther north you go, and there is an outside chance that we get a dusting in Franklin County, Tennessee, down toward Jackson County in Alabama. Widespread accumulating snow, highly unlikely, but there could be some isolated pockets where that is an issue on Thursday morning. After that, a dry end to this week. Sunshine on Friday and Saturday. We're back at it with the rain by Sunday.
Ticketing industry execs testifying after Ticketmaster's mishandling of Taylor Swift's concert tickets.
Lawmakers put consumers at the center of this conversation.
New information, ticketing industry executives testified before lawmakers on Capitol Hill over Ticketmaster's dominance of live entertainment ticketing. The hearing comes after millions of fans were unable to purchase or access tickets for the upcoming Taylor Swift concert tour. Mike Valerio has those details.
The ticketing and live entertainment markets lack competition.
The ticket industry's market practices under Senate scrutiny as lawmakers call for changes.
We need to make sure we have competition to bring prices down and bring innovation in and stop the fiascos.
Bipartisan backlash.
God, please!
2 months after the Taylor Swift ticketing fiasco reignited public scrutiny of the industry.
Ticketmaster learned valuable lessons from this on sale. In hindsight, there are several things we could have done better. And let me be clear, the Ticketmaster accepts its responsibility as being the first line of defense against bots in our industry.
Ticketmaster says the mishandling of Swift's ticket sales was due to unprecedented demand, as the company said its systems were hit with 3 times the amount of bot traffic they've ever experienced. But the debacle shed light on Ticketmaster's economic dominance over the market, to the detriment of consumers, lawmakers said, adding the company's Swift ticket handling is part of a larger problem.
Consolidation of power in the hands of few can create problems for the many.
Meantime, Ticketmaster rival SeatGeek claims Ticketmaster's power over the industry allows it to maintain monopolistic influence over the market.
As long as Live Nation remains both the dominant concert promoter
and ticketer of major venues in the U.S., the industry will continue to lack competition and struggle.
Mike Valerio, WAAY 31 News.
Country music star Chris Stapleton is adding another feather in his cap. The NFL just announced he'll sing the national anthem at next month's Super Bowl. The Kentucky native is known for his hits like his version of Tennessee Whiskey, Parachute, and Starting Over. He joins stars like Rihanna, who are set to perform at halftime. This year's Super Bowl will be in Glendale, Arizona, February 12th. Huntsville artists are clearing the stage for you to talk about mental health. In less than an hour, 57 in Vibes will offer you a safe space to have conversations with artists while discussing impacts on your mental health. Organizers say the deep dive may show you just how healing music can be. If you're interested, it'll be at Straight to Ale on Clinton Avenue.
Well, temperatures will be the least of our problems tonight, but we will stay put in the upper 40s to actually the low 50s late in the night. Notice our rain chances rising as we move through the evening, most likely in Huntsville from midnight through 3 a.m. And we will total up about an inch of rain by the time we wake up tomorrow morning. Rain should clear out in most spots tomorrow morning through the afternoon, and then lingering showers possible Wednesday evening through Wednesday night. A couple of wintry mixed showers possible there as well. Cooling down to the 40s Thursday and Friday. Sunshine is back in the forecast to wrap up this week, both Friday and Saturday, and then we get more rain chances as we head into early next week. 80% chance of widespread rain on Sunday. Looks like another system will be coming right on the tails of that by next Tuesday, but at least we're warming back to the 50s for the first half of next week.
All right, thanks, Taylor. For 24/7 coverage you can count on, local news, breaking news, and, of course, severe weather. Go to WAAYTV.com.
Don't go anywhere. World News Tonight with David Muir starts in just a few minutes right here on WAAY 31.
And then we are back with more coverage you can count on with WAAY 31 News at 6. We'll see you then.